They arrived with MacBooks and good intentions, promising to preserve Miami's authentic culture while working remotely from Art Deco hotels. Millennials discovered South Beach through Instagram, fell in love with Wynwood's street art, and decided Little Haiti had character worth experiencing. Within 5 years, they accomplished what decades of corporate development couldn't: the complete transformation of Miami from multicultural metropolis to millennial monoculture. Therefore, in today's episode of Whose Money Is It?, we examine how the generation that hated gentrification became its most efficient practitioners, destroying Miami's cultural fabric with yoga studios and oat milk while documenting the destruction for social media likes. The generation that spent a decade criticizing boomer gentrification accomplished something their parents never managed: destroying neighborhoods faster than corporate developers while claiming moral superiority the entire time. Millennials transformed gentrification into an art form, complete with hashtags and virtue signaling. For example, the hashtag Wynwood currently has 3.4 million Instagram posts, and each photo, arguably, represents another nail in the coffin of Miami's authentic culture and another rent increase. Indeed, between 2015 and 2025, social media transformed Miami from a vibrant cultural melting pot into a curated backdrop for millennial content creation. Millennials claim to seek diversity and authenticity while homogenizing neighborhoods into Instagram backdrops. And the pattern has proven consistent: move to authentic neighborhood, open specialty coffee shop, post Instagram photos, watch rents soar, move to next neighborhood. And yet within the last year, the millennial Miami experiment has collapsed. Miami rent rose 25% between summer 2021 and summer 2022. 97% of rental inventory in Miami-Dade was occupied by 2023. And property taxes increased 49.5% since 2019, second highest in Florida. But the exodus has begun as quickly as the arrival. Andreessen Horowitz gave up its Miami office after just 2 years because staff weren't using it enough. Prominent venture capitalist Keith Rabois, who fled San Francisco for Miami, calling it massively improperly run, planned to return to San Francisco part-time by 2024. The Florida Chamber Foundation reported with concern that 25% of departures were ages 20 to 29, creating worker shortages in the very tech sector millennials were supposed to build. Sadly, South Florida residents saw the highest rent increases in the entire United States during the pandemic, with average residential rents jumping 35.8% year over year in 2021. That was the highest for any metropolitan area nationwide. Thus, the generation that turned neighborhoods into hashtags destroyed what made them worth visiting. But Instagram influencers were only the advance guard. The real money arrived when tech workers discovered they could code from South Beach. While billionaires bought oceanfront mansions, millennials with crypto profits and tech salaries colonized entire neighborhoods. The new money arrived differently from traditional wealth: louder, faster, and more destructive to local communities. Between 2020 and 2024, remote work transformed Miami from a vacation destination into a millennial playground, where Bay Area salaries met Florida prices. The collision destroyed working-class neighborhoods with algorithmic efficiency. Miami Coin launched in August 2021, promising to revolutionize city funding through cryptocurrency. Mayor Francis Suarez championed the project, courting tech workers and crypto enthusiasts with promises of a blockchain-powered future. Within months, Miami Coin had generated $21 million for the city. Millennials poured money into the project, believing they were building the future while actually funding their own displacement machine. By 2024, Miami Coin had lost 95% of its value, leaving investors with worthless tokens and neighborhoods with unaffordable rents. Remote work unleashed a more devastating force than any cryptocurrency crash. 60% of Americans worked from home at the pandemic's peak, with tech workers leading the charge. These workers, primarily aged 28 to 43, discovered they could keep San Francisco salaries while living in Miami. A software engineer earning $200,000 annually could rent a luxury apartment in Brickell for $3,000 monthly. Expensive for locals, but cheap compared to Silicon Valley. The math worked perfectly for millennials and disastrously for everyone else. Cash purchases by younger buyers flooded the market. 43% of all Miami real estate transactions involved cash by 2023, with crypto liquidations and stock options funding millennial property acquisitions. Traditional buyers, depending on mortgages, found themselves competing against 20-something crypto traders who could overbid by $50,000 without blinking. The pattern repeated across every desirable neighborhood. Millennials arrived with tech money, locals left with eviction notices. Airbnb became the millennial gentrification weapon of choice. Young investors bought properties specifically for short-term rentals, converting housing stock into de facto hotels. 10,335 pre-construction Miami condos were optimized for Airbnb rather than residential use. Each unit removed from the long-term rental market pushed prices higher for remaining inventory. Millennials who criticized hotel chains for destroying neighborhoods became worse landlords than any corporation. The workspace transformation followed predictable patterns. Co-working spaces proliferated across Wynwood, Brickell, and the Design District, catering to remote workers who needed Instagram-worthy offices. Traditional businesses that served local communities for decades suddenly faced rent increases driven by WeWork-style operations. A Cuban sandwich shop that paid $2,000 monthly in rent received renewal notices for $8,000. The building owner knew remote workers would pay premium prices for exposed brick and craft coffee. By 2025, the remote work revolution had created two Miamis, one for millennials with tech salaries and crypto gains, another for everyone else scrambling to survive. The generation that promised to democratize wealth through technology instead created the most efficient displacement machine in Miami's history. Once millennials secured their overpriced apartments, they needed somewhere to spend their disposable income, and Miami's traditional neighborhoods never saw the yoga studios coming. Little Havana's transformation from Cuban cultural heart to millennial wellness playground represents gentrification perfected through yoga mats and oat milk lattes. The neighborhood that survived Castro, crack cocaine, and corporate development finally met its match in millennials seeking authentic experiences. Between 2015 and 2025, juice bars replaced bodegas, meditation studios displaced domino parks, and craft cocktail lounges eliminated venues where locals actually gathered. The wellness industrial complex conquered Miami one namaste at a time. Commercial rent data reveals the systematic replacement of traditional businesses. A typical storefront on Calle Ocho that rented for $2,000 monthly in 2015 commanded $8,000 by 2024. The new tenants were predictable. Yoga studios charging $35 per class, juice bars selling $15 smoothies, and wellness centers offering sound baths to remote workers stressed from Zoom calls. Each new business pushed out establishments that had served the community for generations. Adelita's cafe owner, Reina Cartagena, watched her rent double in less than a year. Many of her customers had already relocated to different parts of the United States, and she considered joining them. Virgil's tuxedo and formal wear served Miami's Haitian community for 32 years before receiving 30 days' notice when developers bought the building. The Caribbean marketplace became what vendors called a dead zone, as gentrification pushed Haitian residents and business owners from the neighborhood. The nightlife transformation proved especially brutal. Traditional Latin clubs that charged $10 covers and served $5 beers couldn't compete with bottle service venues catering to millennials. A venue that once hosted live salsa bands for working families became a $200 minimum cocktail lounge where influencers posed with $40 drinks. The music changed from cumbia to electronic dance music. The crowd from multi-generational families to 20-somethings documenting their night for Instagram. President Obama's 2018 visit to Calle Taco in Wynwood perfectly illustrated the problem. The resulting social media frenzy accelerated gentrification while doing nothing to preserve authentic culture. Millennial tourists spent 40% of their travel budget on gastronomy, but chose Instagrammable venues over establishments with deep community roots. They wanted ethnic food without ethnic people, cultural experiences without cultural preservation. The wellness economy's impact extended beyond individual businesses. Little Haiti saw systematic displacement as the billion-dollar Magic City Innovation District received approval in 2019. Developers promised mixed-use spaces that would preserve neighborhood character while building luxury apartments, high-end retail, and wellness facilities. The reality was mass eviction of Haitian-owned businesses operating on month-to-month leases. Florida law allows landlords to give just 15 days' notice to terminate such agreements. By 2025, Little Santo Domingo's commercial corridor along Northwest 17th Avenue faced extinction. The National Trust for Historic Preservation listed it among America's 11 most endangered historic places, noting approximately 300 small businesses at imminent risk. Millennials who practiced yoga in spaces that once housed community centers achieved something remarkable. They gentrified wellness itself into a weapon of displacement. The same generation that spent college protesting gentrification had become its most ruthless practitioners. They just did it with better branding. And now, we'd like to see you in the comments. Are you a local of Miami and South Florida? And if you are, do you agree with this video? We are enjoying the fact so many of you are leaving your thoughts below. So don't be shy, and we'll be waiting to hear from you. Cheers.